just last portion of the chapter we will finish. I told you that just a small topic is left, that is diagonal relationship. Diagonal relationship. Okay. Diagonal relationship. What actually is this? If we write the members of the periods, hydrogen, helium, then lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon, then sodium, magnesium, aluminium. From here there is a gap from this point. Okay. Then silicon. So what do we observe? That we have always said that in case of periodic table, the elements which are present in the same period, they have same number of shells. Suppose it's the second period, so all the members of this period, particular period, will have electron entering in the second number of shell. Okay, and the elements which are present in one group, this is a group, vertical is a group, horizontal is a column. The elements which are present in a particular group, they have their last electron entering in different shells. For this one it is 1, for second it is 2, for third period it is third number of shell. That means as we come down, the number of shells are increasing. But what similarity we observe is this, that hydrogen is having 1s1, lithium is having 2s1, sodium is having 3s1, then 4s1 for potassium, like this. That means they have their outer electronic configuration same, and because of that they are similar in property. They will not be identical in properties, they will only be similar in properties. Why? First thing is this, that because chemical properties of an element are decided by the electrons present in the valence shell. Okay, so because all of them have same number of electrons in the valence shell, hence their properties are almost similar. But as we are moving from top to bottom, number of shells are increasing, so the size of atom is increasing. That because of that reason, some of the properties will also be different. Okay, so they have similar properties. From left to right there is no similarity in property. Okay, so what happens, that according to that what we have discussed, what should happen? Lithium properties should be similar to sodium, beryllium's property should be similar to magnesium because they are belonging to same group. Boron should be similar to aluminium. But instead of this, what actually happens is this, that lithium is similar to in properties to magnesium, beryllium is similar in properties to aluminium, and boron is similar to silicon. Instead of having similarity with the element present in the same group, they have more similarity with the element present in the group next to it. So this is known as diagonal relationship. They are diagonally similar. Okay, and this happens because of cancellation of two opposing factors. That means from top to bottom atomic size is increasing, from left to right atomic size is decreasing. So both these factors get cancelled in the second group, or you can say the third period. Okay, so because of this reason what happens, that similarity is more between lithium and magnesium than lithium and sodium. Similarity is more between beryllium and aluminium than beryllium and magnesium, because of the two opposing factors working in two opposite directions. Their size are more similar, lithium and magnesium, as compared to lithium and sodium. Because I told that atomic properties are dependent on two factors. One is the number of valence electrons, second is atomic size. So valence electrons are same with sodium and lithium, but atomic size is almost equal for lithium and magnesium. Because of this reason, it shows diagonal relationship. So what is diagonal relationship? That the elements of the second group are having more similarity with the element present in the diagonal group, not in the same group. This is diagonal relationship. Okay. So this is the last topic which we were about to discuss in this chapter. Okay. Now I told that in this chapter most of the questions are reasoning based questions. Okay. So keep your preparations according to that only. Now let me discuss some questions of this chapter so that you know that what type of questions we can discuss. For example, from back exercise there is a question, why do elements in a group have similar physical and chemical properties? So why do elements in a group have similar physical and chemical properties? Just I told you that because they have same number of valence electrons, and because properties are decided by electrons only in the valence shell, hence it is their properties are same. Okay, then explain why beryllium has higher ionization enthalpy. I told you that ionization enthalpy is written as delta IE. Sometimes it is written as IE, or sometimes only I will also be written. So you have to understand it is delta, that is change in enthalpy H, and suppose 1 is written here. What is the meaning of this? Delta IH1 means first ionization enthalpy of a particular element. Okay. Delta EG H1. What does it mean? Electron gain enthalpy. EG stands for electron gain enthalpy. So these are the short notations for the properties which we had discussed. Okay. So again the question which I had discussed with you, that why, explain why beryllium has higher ionization enthalpy than boron. Beryllium is higher than boron. So beryllium comes before boron. Still, as we move, ionization enthalpy should increase, but it is more for beryllium than boron. Reason I told you, that because of completely filled s orbital as well as more penetration effect of s electrons. Two reasons we had discussed. Okay. Second reasoning is oxygen has lower value of ionization enthalpy than nitrogen. Okay. So this was again the same reason, because nitrogen has half-filled orbitals, and half-filled orbitals are more stable, hence difficult to remove electron. So its ionization enthalpy is more. Okay. Then you will have assertion based questions also this time. So some examples of those questions I will send you, and how to solve them, that also I will send, and then we will discuss in the classroom. First I will send you so that you go through them once. Okay. Then more questions, some conceptual questions I wanted. Why is atomic number a better basis for classification of elements than atomic mass? First thing, there are what the question is, that why atomic number is a better basis of classification of elements in periodic table than atomic mass. First thing is this, atomic number of all elements are in whole numbers. They are not in decimals, or you can say fractions. So the arrangement is easier. Second thing, because why they are not in fractions? Because atomic number indicates the number of proton or electron, and then that cannot be fractional. Second thing is this, that because of isotopes, if isotopes are there, then atomic same element will be placed at more than one places in the periodic table. So atomic number, because isotopes have same atomic number, so atomic number is a better criteria to classify elements in periodic table. than atomic mass. Two factors are important. Okay, then why is second ionization enthalpy delta IH2 of element is more than its first ionization enthalpy? Okay, so this reason also I had explained you, because when one electron is already removed from it, then what happens? Now the number of protons are more than number of electrons, so the attraction nuclear charge is more. So now removal of electron will be more difficult. Hence, second ionization enthalpy is more than the first in most of the cases. But there are some cases where it can be less also. Where when it will be less? When by the loss of the second electron, if the particular element is acquiring a stable configuration, then its value can be lower also. Okay. Now, chlorine can be converted into chloride ion more easily as compared to fluoride ion resulting from fluorine. Explain. Indirectly they have asked the question. Instead of directly saying that electron gain enthalpy of chlorine is higher than the fluorine. Why? They have indirectly asked that why it is easier to add an electron. Chlorine can be converted into chloride ion. That means what? We are adding an electron to make it Cl1 negative. So it is easier to convert chlorine into chloride ion as compared to fluorine into fluoride ion. Why? I told you is the reason for this also, that because fluorine has a small size. So if we try to add an electron, it is true that it wants to complete its octet by the addition of one electron, but still because of its small size, if we try to add electron, it faces inter-electronic repulsion, and because of that the value of electron gain enthalpy becomes less negative. Okay, so these are the various. I told that the questions will be reasoning based. One more question is there. Neon and Na1 positive ions are isoelectronic species. I hope you understand isoelectronic species. Isoelectronic species are two different elements having same number of electrons. These elements are different. In case of isotopes, if you see, we see that the elements are same. They are the different forms of the same element which have same number of atomic number is same, but atomic mass is different. But isoelectronic species are different. For example, if they ask for neon and Na1 positive, these are isoelectronic species. Why? They have same number of electrons. Neon atomic number is 10, sodium atomic number is 10. Okay. Now, in case of atomic number is 11. Okay. Proton number is 10, electron number is also 10. Now, Na, proton number is 11, electron number is also 11. Now, when it forms Na1 positive, that time what happens? One electron is lost. So now the electron number becomes 10 electron in Na1 positive. So after removal of one electron, Na becomes Na1 positive and its number of electron becomes 10. And already in case of neon, the number of electrons are 10. So these are isoelectronic species. Okay. So all such species which have same number of electron will be isoelectronic. For example, Mg2 positive is also isoelectronic to sodium 1 positive and isoelectronic to neon. How? Because in magnesium atomic number is 12, proton number is 12, electron number is 12, but when it forms Mg2 positive, its electron number becomes 10. So all of the three are having same electron number. So these are isoelectronic species. Okay. So question is, neon and Na1 positive ions are isoelectronic species. Do they have same ionization enthalpies also? So will their ionization enthalpy values will also be same? So the answer is no. their ionization enthalpy values will not be same. They will be different. Neon, if we want to remove an electron, ionization enthalpy means removal of electron. If we want to remove an electron from neon, it will be very difficult to remove. Okay, but from sodium, it is easy to remove the electron. Okay.
Even from sodium positive, it will be difficult to remove electron.
Even from
Sodium positive.
yes, difficult, but not as difficult as it is difficult from neon. Okay, because of the completely filled orbitals present in neon already. Okay, because their nuclear charges are not same. When we are removing the first electron, that time in sodium, octet is not complete. Clear? So because octet is not complete, so in that case it will be easy to remove the electron. But once the octet is complete, then it will become difficult to remove from Na positive ion. Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So let us see 1-2 more questions, then we will proceed to the next chapter. Extra similar questions. Okay, now let us come to the next chapter. Now in this chapter, which we have finished just now, we have seen that elements in the periodic table are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic numbers. Now we see that elements are arranged in the periodic table, but when we talk about the existence of these elements in nature, they are not present independent. They are always present in combined state. Either they form homonuclear molecules like hydrogen, oxygen, or they form heteronuclear molecules like HCl. You can say homoatomic or heteroatomic, homonuclear and heteronuclear. Both terms can be used. So they always are present in the combined state except for the gases like helium, neon, argon, krypton and xenon. Except for all these inert gases or noble gases, all elements are present in nature in combined state, either with the same type or with the different type of other elements. So why do these elements undergo chemical combination? This was the question for all scientists, that why they do undergo chemical combinations. And when this was studied, it was found that first they studied these noble gases, that why these are not undergoing any sort of combination. Then it was understood clearly that all these inert gases have their octet already complete, or duplet in case of helium. In case of helium we talk about duplet, and in case of all other we talk about octet. Okay, so it was found that all elements in the nature are undergoing combinations only to complete their octet, because once they complete their octet they become stable. Okay, so stability is the ultimate requirement of all elements, and to attain the stability they should have 8 electrons, and to attain that 8 electrons they have to undergo chemical combinations. Okay, so this was studied, and when it was known that elements are undergoing chemical combination, then how do they undergo these chemical combination? This was also studied. So scientists named as Kossel and Lewis These two scientists first of all gave the method by which these elements undergo chemical combination, and they explained the formation of electrovalent or ionic bond. Means the first bond which was explained, which takes place between two elements, was given by Cossel and Lewis, and that was electrovalent or ionic bond. We all have studied electrovalent and ionic bond in class 10th. In that we have seen that electrovalent or ionic bond is formed by complete transfer and accepting or acceptance of electrons. Okay. In case of electrovalent and ionic bond, there is complete transfer and acceptance of electron. It is not shared by any of the two elements which are undergoing combination. If we see the formation of, before this, when we start writing about the combination, then scientist Lewis, out of the two, Lewis gave Lewis dot structures, which again you have done in class 10, but still just we will revise it. That Lewis gave first Lewis dot structures, in which dots or cross both can be used, but because it is dot structure, so most of the time we use dot, but if you use cross also, that is not wrong. Okay, so according to Lewis dot structure, what was there, that in dot structure only the valence electrons are shown. If in any book it is shown like this, that all electrons are visible, in 10th many had asked this question and some books were showing it like this, so that is wrong. In Lewis structure only valence electrons. Suppose if I want to make Lewis structure 2, 8 and 1, okay, or I can say 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1. So the number of electrons present in valence shell, okay, valence shell electrons. So valence shell is third shell, and in third shell there is only one electron. So sodium will have dot structure with one dot. This dot can be placed this side, it can be placed this side, it can be placed here, or it can be placed this side. There is no fixed place that only this side you can show it. Generally when we write the structures for chemical combination, so we prefer to write it this side because it is easy to explain, either this side or at the top. But it is not so that we can make it only right this side or at the top, we can make it anywhere. Okay. Now if we have to make electron dot structure for chlorine atom, then it will be, because 2, 8 and 7, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, then 3s2, 3p5. Valence shell, don't go for this, okay. Valence shell is third number of shell. So how many electrons are there? 5 plus 2, 7. General mistake which is done is that generally according to the new classification or new system of filling of electrons, we see 5 electrons and we make 5 electrons in the electron dot structure, Lewis structure, but it should be 5 plus 2, 7. Okay, so remember this thing. So chlorine will have 7 electrons. Generally we make the electrons in pair 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. This one electron, single electron, can be made any side, either this side or this side. It is not fixed. Okay, so this is Lewis structure for Vidhi. It's too late. Too late to join class. Vidhi, no answer. Okay.
Ma'am, let's try. यार बहुत ज्यादा नेटवर्क इश्यूज हो रहे हैं।
Okay. So according to those structures, chlorine and sodium structures we have made, and then what will happen in the formation of ionic bond, we'll see that in ionic bond, suppose we talk about formation of NaCl itself. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 electrons, and it has only 1. Now because valence shell has only 1, but beyond valence shell it has 2 and 8. This has 2, 8 and 1, let us write. So to complete its octet, it is easy for it to give. So this 1 electron will be given by sodium to chlorine, and because it has 2, 8 and 7, so it is easy for chlorine to just accept 1 electron and become 2, 8 and 8. Again the concept of completing their octet. So it will be 2, 8 for sodium, and sodium will become Na positive, and if this is 2, 8 and 8, so it will be NaCl. Because it is accepted, so it will acquire negative charge. So this is the formation of, explained was, electrovalent or ionic bond. The force of attraction in this type of bond is very strong. So the important properties of this we will discuss. Physical state. We are talking about ionic compounds. So physical state of these. Physical state of ionic compounds are, they are generally crystalline solids. They are solids because of strong bonds, and they are also crystal. Okay. Second thing is melting point and boiling point. Melting point and boiling point of these compounds are very high because the bond between them is ionic bond, and ionic bond is a strong type of bond. So if you have to melt them, then you have to, melting means what? Suppose if I am melting NaCl, if I am melting NaCl, I am not breaking their bond between Na and Cl. Okay, melting means, suppose you melt ice, then you are not melting H separate and O separate, because when ice melts, it converts into liquid water. When liquid vaporizes, it converts into vapors of H2O. So H2O molecule does not break when you convert a substance from a solid to liquid and liquid to gas. Okay. So whenever we are talking about melting point and boiling point, we are, so neighboring molecule forces will also be strong if these forces are strong. That is why it is having high melting point and boiling point. Okay. Then conductivity. Electrical conductivity, if we talk, then electrical conductivity of these compounds which are ionic is bad conductors in solid state. Okay, they are bad conductors in solid state.